Hi, everyone. Welcome to Solicitous. Welcome back to Solicitous, whatever it may be. Don't forget to hit that like button. You saw my new little twirling world with all the thumbs around the world. And that's the nice thing about this. It doesn't matter where you are. It's kind of cool. Anywhere around the world, anyone can hit that like button. So, yeah, I hope everyone's having a wonderful day. Hopefully, you're enjoying some nice warm weather, not too hot, hopefully. The last 3 days here have been very nice, thank goodness. It did rain this morning. We had thunderstorms overnight, but right now it's beautiful out. I have not been doing much lately. I actually took a bit of a rest period because I don't know if I have 3 compressed discs and one is in my neck, and I don't know if it was the disc I irritated or my left side weakness and nerve issues that I have on my left side that I irritated, but either way, it wasn't good. So I took some rest and still a little sore, and I'm still keeping it rested as much as possible, but it's not to the point where I just couldn't do anything. It was that bad. But anyways, I guess as we get older, we deal with these things as our bodies start to change. How fun it is. Now, today, the first thing I want to touch on is another very, very sad story. I'm sure probably some of you have already heard about it. I, of course, was reading about it, keeping up on it, the Travis Decker, what's going on there. And I have the latest, something that just came out 2 hours ago, it says. And it's one of the latest updates. Well, I'd say it's the latest update that I could find. And so I'm going to share that and play that. Trigger warning. And for anybody that is not familiar with this yet, yeah, trigger warning, big time. It's very sad. And yeah, anyways, so we will share the screen. So sad. Like this is, and we're going to get into talking about the, I want to make this bigger, about the Amber Alert on this one as well.
Not this time, but based off the allegations that are being made against him, we do consider him to be a threat towards the community. We also ask the community to stay out of the Icicle Gorge area for the time being until we can secure that area and ensure that he is not there. And we will not rest until Travis is located. Travis, if you're listening, this is your opportunity to turn yourself in. Do the right thing, do what you need to do, and take accountability for your actions. We're not going to go away, we're not going to rest, and we're going to make sure we find you. You will be brought to justice. Those young ladies deserve it.
So, I guess that was from yesterday, I think. But, I don't want to listen to this video.
Today, the United States and France,
Yeah.
again.
I don't want to hear that crap. Sorry. Fear-mongering crap. The new information must be in the article itself, because that clip, I saw that yesterday. So I will read the article. And this is from Newsweek, everyone. So if you want to go and read this yourself or keep up with them, what they're putting out, it's Newsweek. You can see up top there on the screen on the left-hand side. Law enforcement officials in Washington continued the manhunt for Travis Decker, 32, wanted in connection with the deaths of his 3 daughters, as new information emerged Thursday about a text message the girls' mother sent after learning of their fate. The manhunt is ongoing, and officials are seeking public assistance to locate Decker, who is considered armed, dangerous, and highly skilled in wilderness survival. And you can see his picture there. There's other pictures of him, and he looks totally different. Just looking at him there, you can tell he's not well. He doesn't look well. That's pretty obvious. And in the other pictures, he doesn't look as bad as he looks there. Yeah. The manhunt is ongoing, okay. And he he could come into Canada as well. So, you know, if you guys don't know yet, I'm from Canada. I'm from Nova Scotia. I'm from the area where Lily and Jack went missing, like the actual community, and or Lilly&Jack Sullivan, which we will be discussing too after this. And so he could very well come into Canada too, because the state that this is taking place is on the border of Canada, and he's in the forest. Possibly. I guess I shouldn't say that. I don't know where he is, but that's a possibility. So take a good look at him. The Wenatchee Police Department said Washington State Patrol has contacted a request an Amber Alert. But okay, wait. Did I miss something? Oh, I hate when they put all that crap in between. The incident reignited national concerns about missing persons protocols and parental visitation safety. And there's another article that I am going to read, and it's the, I guess, well, the title says the mom speaking out about it, but I didn't read it yet. So we'll see if that's actually so in the article, but that's the headline of the article. And of course, you know, with Lily and Jack, now this situation is much different than with Lily and Jack, but with both of them, honestly, an Amber Alert should have been put out. And there should have been no questions asked in this one. I mean, I get that, you know, they say the Lily and Jack is somewhat questionable. To me, it's not. Kids are gone. That's your biggest gigantic clue right there that possibly kidnapped. Well, with this one, I mean, this even more so. Yeah, anyways. And the I know I just said that a few minutes ago, now I can't remember how to say it. The police department said Washington State Patrol was contacted to request an Amber Alert, but it did not meet the required criteria. And I mean, it did. I don't know how it couldn't. That's crazy. And I know each state is different, but come on. Wow. The case underscored vulnerabilities in existing alert systems. How is that possible? Even with Jack and Lily, the next day at around 5:30, a vulnerable alert was put out. So they met the vulnerabilities, but they're saying these children didn't. What to know? Bin Nigel, I'm sorry if I'm pronouncing that wrong, a neighbor of the girl's mother, Whitney Decker, that's the mom, told the Daily Mail he received a text from her after officials confirmed her daughter's death. Oh. So for anybody that doesn't know, because I thought they might give a lot of time in these articles at the beginning, they'll give a kind of a lowdown of what is actually taking place, but they didn't. But the father newly had visitation rights. He's suffering from mental illness. He's a veteran. He's a part of the GERD. He has all this training. And he, his mental illness basically went up a notch, went up a notch, went up, was just getting worse and worse and worse. And she, let the courts know what she was seeing. She did everything she was supposed to do. And he did eventually gain, he's homeless. So he did eventually gain visitation rights back, and it was only a few hours, I think twice a week, like 3 hours on one day, I think 5 hours on another day. And so, but she was protesting that she didn't think he was in the right frame of mind yet. And he was denying treatment. And I mean, right there, he can choose. He has the right to choose that. To not have treatment for his mental illness, fine, and therapy and whatever. But those children, as an adult, we can also choose not to be around that person who's choosing not to have treatment, So if I don't want to be around Travis because he's not getting treatment, and now I have to suffer the consequences of that by being around him, as an adult, I can choose to not be. But children can't. Children can't make that decision. So other people are in a position of making it for them. So unfortunately, a judge made that decision that no, he was going to be given some visitation rights back, and this was the first visit, and this is what took place. And I mean, he chose not to get treatment. Let him suffer the consequences of that. Those children should not have been put in that position to suffer the consequences of his choice. It's just wrong. But now here we are here. So this stuff just frustrates me beyond. Yeah, so he unalived them, took them supposedly so-called camping, if that's what you want to call it, and used zip ties and on their hands, and then bags over their heads. So you get the picture. Yeah, so they found their bodies. Whitney wrote, "They can't find Travis." Nigel told the outlet that Decker had a sad look when he picked up the children on May 30th. And I mean, it was obviously planned, because why would he take those things, zip ties and bags with him? And she noticed that he was acting different. So, I mean, this was planned out. And I mean, this is not just due to mental illness either. There's obviously mental illness, but there's it sounds like this guy had some violent tendencies there. Yeah. What was strange was that he kept asking me the same question at different points in our conversation, like he wasn't remembering he already asked. Arena Cozart, an attorney representing Whitney Decker, said her client did not notice any strange behavior from from Travis Decker prior to the children's disappearance? Well, besides the behavior that day, she was saying he was quiet and repeating himself. It saddens me that Mr. Nugent felt it necessary to share Whitney's grief with the press in this way. I can tell you that despite the quotes from the Daily Mail, Whitney observed no unusual behavior from Travis. When he, oh, okay. That's interesting. Whitney observed no unusual behavior from Travis when he came to pick up the girls on May 30th. The children 9, Paityn, 8, Evelyn, and 5, Olivia, were last seen on May 30th leaving with Decker for a planned visitation. Cozart said Whitney and Travis were in frequent contact, as they always were, regarding the children, things happening in Travis's life, and other topics. The two had been discussing Travis's dog, Chinook, and Travis's dog, Chinook, and concerns about what to do with the dog as temperature rose. As Travis was living in his car, Whitney offered to let the dog live with her. Travis then instructed the children to get their belongings and told Whitney they'd return at 8 p.m., according to Cozart. Cozart added that if her client had noticed any unusual behavior, Whitney would not have allowed the visitation. She said Whitney is asking for grace and privacy at this time. Yes, of course. But, I mean, I don't think the neighbor's lying, but, and the lawyer's not saying that he's lying. She's saying it's unfortunate that he decided to share that information with the press, which is true. I mean, I wouldn't do that myself, but yeah. Timeline and discovery. When the girls did not return that evening as scheduled, Whitney Decker reported them missing. Police tracked the father's white 2017 GMC Sierra pickup and found it unoccupied near Rock Island Campground on Monday. The children's bodies were found nearby, down a wooded embankment. God, this is terrible. Like, I just don't understand. I don't know. Like, how does even mental illness make you do that? I just don't get it. Oh, there's just some things we'll never understand. Each of the sisters was found with plastic bags placed over their heads and wrists zip-tied, according to court documents obtained by Como News, KOMO. Preliminary autopsy results indicated asphyxiation as the cause of death. Local, state, and federal agencies, including the FBI and Homeland Security, intensified the search for Decker. Officials cited his background as mountaineering and Army Survival School, and warned the public not to approach him. Authorities have offered a $20,000 reward for information leading to his arrest. What was I going to say? Yeah, he seems pretty well trained. But, I mean, I guess, he might not even be alive. He may have went off somewhere and unalived himself. It's hard to say. But from what I read yesterday, it sounds like they found things to indicate that he is around, that they've, found certain things, like, I don't know, probably some maybe food supplies or something like that. Bathroom waste, maybe, but they're finding stuff to indicate that he's still around. Scrutiny over missing persons alerts. The Washington State Patrol stated, told, okay, I may mess that up, or I'm messing it up, told KOMO News that standard Amber Alert criteria were not met at the outset of the disappearance due to the lack of initial evidence and imminent harm. Well, I mean, there should be some kind of system set up, especially after what happened already to Susan Powell. The department instead issued, it's hard to say in my opinion, because to me it just sounds like common sense, but in my opinion, the department instead issued an endangered missing person alert the following day. The chain of events has led to renewed debate about the law enforcement procedures. And, you know, I said this also about with Lilly&Jack Sullivan, because we don't know what happened to Lilly&Jack yet. But if it does end up that they were kidnapped, or this happens to another child or other children, and it is that they were kidnapped, well, there seems to be a gap there to just say, you know, no kidnapping within the first couple of hours and rule that out. Like, why not see it as any possibility and play that through? Like, it's not like it's cost, and I mean, cost shouldn't even matter. These are children, but it's nothing. It's nothing to put that Amber Alert out, and saying that they don't want it to bother people, that's baloney. Anytime I've ever received one of those alerts, and I've been in a room where you're with several people, you're at a family get together, and there's numerous people in the room, and that alert goes off, and everybody goes and grabs their phone. And I mean, one person in the room could read that out loud and everybody would know what it says, but every single person grabs their phone. Nobody, will leaves those alerts, and I've never ever heard anybody say they found them annoying. So that's foolishness. Any person even say that needs a smack upside the head. That's foolish. Yeah. Cozart said Whitney was frustrated during the search that an Amber Alert was not issued. I bet she was. A sin. However, she never imagined this would end as it has. I bet you she didn't. Who would ever think that? My goodness. What people are saying. Cozart speaking about her client Whitney Decker in comments to Newsweek. I think she is still reeling from losing her entire world. Well, of course she will for the rest of her life. I mean, that's it. Like he took her whole world from her. Like that's it. Like how do you come out of that? Not like, I mean, to lose one child, you never get over that. A parent does not get over outliving their child. But to have all your children at once taken from you, like, and in that way, no. She'll always be reeling over that. She'll never get over it. She is strong and kind and wants this tragedy to spur change and save lives. That is what is driving her right now. Well, I'm sure Susan Powell's family probably thought the same thing, but I don't know what state that was that Susan lived in, but that Susan and the children, I mean, he unalived her as well, and I don't think they ever did find her. And, and then he did that to the 3 boys. Pretty sure it was 3 boys. And, yeah, blew up the house with the kids in it while the CPS worker was right there, to pick was she picking them? Oh, no, he was supposed to come out. She was supposed to supervise the visit, and then he kinda once the kids walked in the door, he shut the door and quick so that she couldn't get in, and then he, yeah, blew the house up. Yeah, I don't know what state that was in, but, I mean, that should have made change right across the whole US and Canada, right across North America. Um So, what happens next? Authorities plan to continue coordinated search efforts with multiple agencies. Oh, sorry. Wenatchee, I hope I'm saying that properly. Wenatchee Police Department on Facebook. We want to express our sincere and deep, heartfelt condolences to the family at this time. What happens next? Authorities plan to continue coordinated search efforts with multiple agencies, maintain warnings to the public, and process new tips and evidence as the investigation progresses. The manhunt remains ongoing, and police urge anyone with information on Travis Decker's whereabouts to contact law enforcement immediately. And there's, I just want to bring his picture up there. There you go. You can see both those pictures of him. Yeah. So that is that. Now, one of the other ones I had pulled up also said, yeah, another one that I was looking at there was about them. Well, we'll still go over it, I guess. It's just sad these things happen. And part of me, I've always been into more like I'm not more I've always been into real true stories, and probably the biggest reason why is wanting to understand why, like what makes us as humans behave in this way, you know um and because I think if we have a good understanding of why, and you would think by now we would have a better understanding as, intelligent as we've become as human beings, that we'd be able to prevent it better. Maybe not 100%, but maybe, in some way better than what we are now as humans. And there's another picture. Well, I guess it's the same picture, but it's a lot bigger. He looks so gross there. I hate to say that, but like he looks like he's out of his mind. And like I know, anyways, we'll go through this article and then I can't get so this is Newsweek. can't get the title. Travis Decker update, manhunt continues. That big giant ad across there, I can't exit out. Law enforcement officials in Washington continued the manhunt for Travis Decker, 32, wanted in connection with the deaths of his 3 daughters, as new information emerged Thursday about a text message the girls' mother sent after learning of their fate. Okay, so this is just saying the same stuff. Yeah, I'm not gonna read that again. Well, it's not the same article, it's the same information. Thanks for being here, everyone. Watching my video, I should say. I mean, you will be here when you watch the video. I'm not doing a live today because I saw another big channel doing a live, and I thought, well, I'm sure everybody's over at that channel chatting away, so I thought I would just record instead. Okay, Washington mom believes an Amber Alert might have saved her 3 daughters. What a sin. Want to see the pictures of them there. Oh, of course, when I go up, well, hopefully they'll show them in this article, or in this clip.
Life appeared to be falling apart with mental. We are getting a fuller picture of Travis Decker, the man whose life appeared to be falling apart with mental illness, homelessness, and the inability to hold down a job. And access to his kids was cut to every other weekend after a custody hearing 9 months ago.
He was an engaged father. He did have some limitations on his parenting time due to his mental illness.
The mother's attorney in the custody case says Travis became homeless a year and a half ago after leaving the Army as a Ranger.
He left voluntarily, so I believe his discharge was honorable. I think as far as the reserves, he just stopped showing up.
The attorney says Travis worked a couple of minimum wage jobs and at one point was talking to the Carpenters Union about possible work, but his skills just didn't transfer.
There were no red flags. He was struggling with isolation. And
records show Decker was diagnosed with a serious mental illness. The attorney says that was most likely related to his combat and that Decker tried and tried to get help, but there was too much red tape to get veteran services.
She really feels that the system let her children down. It was the inadequacies in the services for our veterans that killed those children. That's it.
The attorney and the mom are also raising concerns about the state's Amber Alert system. Law enforcement officials say they did not see Decker as an immediate danger to his own children, so no Amber Alert was sent out. The attorney says the mother thinks that was a deadly mistake.
They did not see him as an immediate physical danger to his children, despite the fact that he had a well-established history of mental health issues. And had they had seen it that way, those children might still be alive. And that's the thing that is so brutal. And
I just want to hear. I want to hear that again.
Change and had physical danger.
Thinks that was a deadly mistake.
They did not see him as an immediate physical danger to his children, despite the fact that he had a well-established history of mental health issues. And had they
who's they
seen
though?
It that way, her children down.
Services.
She
that Decker tried and tried to get help, but there was too much red tape to get veteran services.
She really feels that the system let her children down.
Well, they say that he tried and tried to get help, but then in the court documents that, where did I read that yesterday? I'm sorry, guys, I can't reference where I read that or I saw it on a news channel. But it stated that he was refusing treatment. So that's a bit, I guess all the details are a bit scrambled yet. And I honestly feel that there's probably going to be some lawsuits here, which is probably why she's going against what the neighbor said and saying that, that's not true and that the mom didn't notice anything. Which, I mean, hardly matters. And it's not her fault. But in a lawsuit, that wouldn't go over well, I wouldn't think, for that information to be out there. But yeah.
It was the inadequacies in the services for our veterans that killed those children. That's it.
The attorney and the mom are also raising concerns about the state's Amber Alert system. Law enforcement officials say they did not see Decker as an immediate danger to his own children, so no Amber Alert was sent out. The attorney says the mother thinks that was a deadly mistake.
They did not see him as an immediate physical danger to his children, despite the fact that he had a well-established history of mental health issues. And had they had seen it that way, those children might still be alive. And that's the thing that is so brutal. And the one thing she's really hoping can be changed in this tragedy.
Tonight, as the investigation into Sunday's fire.
Yeah, sad. But like I said, I'll have to search for that where I saw that. It might have been on Clutch Them Pearls or Clutch Those Pearls. Or I read it myself, or it was from a news channel. But it was stating that he refused maybe the reason why he refused was because he wasn't getting what he needed, the coverage. Maybe that's wasn't that he refused. Well, it would be put down as refusal, but if it's due to monetary reasons, then because Veterans Assistance wasn't helping him, then yeah, that would be an issue, definitely. Okay. Don't know if there's anything different in here, but we'll just skim over it right quick. The mother of the 3 girls who officials say were killed by their father is calling for reforms to Washington State's Amber Alert system after her daughters' bodies were discovered and as officials search for the man. Whitney Decker believes her daughters might still be alive had the Washington State Patrol issued an Amber Alert for them last week. Well, yeah, because, I mean, once the autopsies are done, I guess they'll give a better idea of when they were unalived. I know I already said killed up top there, but I'm not monetized, so. But I like to try to practice the YouTube rules. Yeah, so when the autopsy's done, I'm sure we'll have a better picture. Whitney Decker, believes her daughters might still be alive had the her attorney told NBC affiliate King of Seattle on Thursday, "It's very important to Whitney to get that fixed," attorney Ariana Cozart said. Evelyn 8, Paityn 9, and Olivia Decker 5. Gosh, what a sin. And I mean, like, my head just goes to stuff like, the second and the last one witnessed the first one. The last one witnessed the first two. Like, it's just terrible. Like, that's torment. Terrible. It's very important to get that fixed. Several days after their mother reported them missing, their father, Travis Decker, 32, is wanted on first-degree murder charges in connection with the killings. Authorities began searching for the girls Friday night after Whitney Decker filed a complaint that her ex-husband did not return the children after a planned visit. The State Patrol issued an endangered missing persons advisory for the girls Saturday. Unlike an Amber Alert, the advisory does not send a text message, oh my goodness, to all cell phones in the surrounding area about missing children. Well, at least Jack and Lily did get the text message. Again, it wasn't until the next day, until almost 5:30, after they had been missing like a day and a half. But at least they did get that. Cozart said that her client's ex-husband had mental health issues and that local police relayed his illness to the State Patrol and pushed for an Amber Alert unsuccessfully. My goodness. So they were alerted about his mental illness. That's bizarre. A spokesperson for the State Patrol did not immediately reply to a request for comment Thursday. Chris Loftus, the agency's director for public affairs, previously told NBC News that the request for an Amber Alert did not meet the program's strict guidelines, which are set by the U.S. Justice Department. And I think it was him I saw in an interview on the news saying that we can't send an alert out for every parent that doesn't get their kid home on time. We don't want to start to annoy the public with Amber Alerts. And I'm thinking, oh my God, you're an idiot. You're just an idiot. There must be a reason to believe a missing person has been abducted, Loftus said, and there must be a known imminent danger of serious injury or death. Because Travis Decker had some custodial rights, but he shouldn't have. He shouldn't have. As soon as he wasn't receiving treatment, and like I said, it said refused, but I mean, sometimes that's just, I mean, it could be boxes that are checked off, you know, but it could have been because he didn't have the money, but it said that he was refusing to participate in receiving treatment. That should have stopped then. That they should not have been put in that position because I mean, now let's pretend they're teenagers and they're old enough to understand all that and make a decision and say, hey, I'm not going with you. I'm not comfortable around you. I don't like when you're acting this way, that way, whatever. But they're too young to make that decision yet. So it should have been made for them. Because Travis Decker had some custodial rights, there was not imminent legal presumption that the girls had been kidnapped or that they were in danger. Loftus said the alert issued Saturday accomplished much the same public notification outreach as an Amber Alert would have. No, it doesn't. That's bullcrap because they did that here the first day with Lilly&Jack, and I had no idea that was going on right here in my community. So that's no. Court documents show that Whitney Decker told detectives she agreed to a parenting plan with her ex-husband in September. However, he refused to sign the document after he became homeless, according to the affidavit. Okay, wait, let me read that again. Court documents show that Whitney Decker told detectives she agreed to a parenting plan with her ex-husband in September. However, he refused to sign the document after he became homeless, according to the affidavit. The agreement was contingent on Travis Decker's, there you go, see, on contingent on Travis Decker seeking mental health treatment and domestic violence anger management. See, I knew I heard that somewhere. That, yeah, there was a history of that there. Counseling, according to the affidavit. Decker, a military veteran, never did, according to court documents. So that's what I'm saying. So I don't, like, how can you blame that on Veterans Affairs? He's the one who refused and to receive help. So he should have paid the consequences for that. Only him and him only. But again, if it was due to not being able to afford it, and the VA wouldn't help him out, well, then that's a different story. The 3 girls were found zip-tied with plastic bags over their heads near a campground in a remote part of the state, roughly 130 miles east of Seattle, according to the court document. Like, man, how could you do that? How in the hell could you do that? Well, he better hope he did unalive himself, because he sure as hell ain't gonna make it in prison. That's a definite. Unless they lock him in a cell 24/7. It is unclear. Well, and they still have to take him out for him to shower, whatever. So somebody will get him. It is unclear whether Travis Decker is armed, but officials said he is considered dangerous. Authorities said relatives informed them that he has skills to survive outdoors for long stretches and would sometimes go off-grid for months. In a statement Thursday, the Chelan County Sheriff's Office advised people who own cabins in several surrounding counties to lock all their doors, including outbuildings and sheds, leave open their blinds, and turn on any outside lights. The statement added that investigators have executed search warrants around the area and on Decker's devices that have created leads and generated new information. Sorry, you gotta read that again. The statement added that investigators have executed search warrants around the area and on Decker's devices, that have created leads and generated new. So he must have a phone, and they're able to watch and see what he's doing. I was wondering that yesterday. If you see or believe you have seen Mr. Decker, please call 911 immediately and do not attempt or contact or approach him. That is a definite. Let's take a look at this video too. Oh my goodness.
Let's take it to Washington State, where they just released new security camera video from police that they say shows the man now accused of murdering his 3 daughters over the weekend. This video, taken just days before that happened. You see Travis Decker here, the kid's dad, appearing to ring the doorbell. Police still have not found him, now 3 days after the bodies of his daughters were discovered at a campsite near his abandoned truck. And tonight, we're also hearing from the girl's mother, Whitney, through her lawyer, calling on the state's Amber Alert system to be reformed after the Washington State Patrol did not issue an alert in the hours after her ex-husband failed to return.
What a
with her girls.
sin. Look at the picture.
Listen to what her attorney told our Seattle station.
They did not see him as an immediate physical danger to his children, despite the fact that he had a well-established history of mental health issues. And had they had seen it that way,
that's what we just saw. I want
to bring in our Steve Patterson, who's been following this one. Tell us more about what police are saying about that decision to not put out that Amber Alert and the latest on the investigation into where Travis Decker is.
Yeah, Hallie, first of all, big props to one of your producers, Ben Trachtenberg. Working with him, he reached out to the State Patrol. They sent us a pretty detailed response. I will summarize that in sort of essence. They say these Amber Alerts, very specific federal guidelines set by the DOJ using a specific set of parameters. They don't push back against all of those parameters being met, but they do push back against a few of them. One of them, there must have been a reason for the person to have been believed to have been abducted. And because of the limited custodial rights of Decker at the time of the abduction or the believed abduction or the possible abduction, that they don't believe that that may have happened. Second is that a missing person must be known to be in danger. No indication, according to them, because, again, this is a person who had the kids, was a little late for visitation after having the kids, didn't necessarily indicate that there was an abduction that had taken place. So based on these guidelines, they did send us a statement saying, that they did trigger an endangered missing persons alert, but of course not the same as an Amber Alert. Here's her statement. It's on screen. It says, the state of Washington handled this incident no differently than any other state with the information they had available. But all of that said, nothing, no process, no set of standards can protect us from the evils and horrors. We will learn from this tragedy. They'll review it, and they'll continue to follow along with the set of tragedies there. Meanwhile, this obviously is still well underway. Decker, 32 years old, believed to have had training, former military vet, believed to have known to have gone off grid several times. So this is a person that knows how to survive in the wilderness for elongated periods of time. They're looking by air, by land, of course, by drone. The investigation continues. Hallie?
Steve Patterson, thank you very much for the update. Appreciate that.
Okay, so next, let's go to your browser is blocked by screen. Click the screen icon in your browser to allow access. Then reload. No, I don't want to do that. Let's go next to we're going to Lilly&Jack Sullivan. And there's a couple of articles here that I want to read. This is more so going to be about Daniel. And I had stated in one of my videos, the last one or the second last one, that I wanted to go over everything Daniel had stated. And then, I wanted to go over it all again, take some good notes, and see where it brought me, with my thoughts. And in the meantime, while I was doing that, these text messages started coming out, and they're, I've seen them on other channels. So there was the text messages from Daniel, text messages from, sorry, not text messages, but a short interview with his cousin on TikTok, and her name's Logan. So I do believe that all of it is real. I know there's so much that we have to sift through and figure out, is it real, is it fake? But the ladies who vetted it on It's a Crime and Shame, another Canadian channel, It's a Crime and Shame. They are the ones who originally came out with these text messages, and I wholeheartedly believe that they're real. I don't believe they would make that up, and they've already proven they are real. I mean, they've proven that. So, and the TikTok one, you can clearly see her picture, the cousin's picture in the TikTok video, that it is her. So because I do believe it's and I'm pretty careful with that, because I like evidence-based information. I like to sift through stuff, make sure it's accurate, it's real, before I touch upon it. So I do feel comfortable with that. So I'm not going to go deep into it. It's been done on A Crime and Shame, and you can go to that channel for a deeper dive. Most of it to me is just not even worth talking about, but I sift through it, and certain things, that caught my eye going through that and taking notes, and then going through the interviews and taking notes of Daniel. And another piece of information that I'm going to share with you here as well. I've come to some thoughts, and I'm going to share those thoughts. But first, let's take a look at these articles. So these are two most recent that I've found articles that we will take a look at. Sharing screen, guys. I hate the quietness. What happened to the Sullivan kids in Nova Scotia? And this is City News. So what happened to the Sullivan kids in Nova Scotia? By analysts by the Big Story podcast, posted June 5th. So that would have been yesterday, yeah. And updated today. It's a mystery in Nova Scotia that's gained attention across the country. This week marks 1 month since the disappearance of 6-year-old Lily Sullivan and 4-year-old brother Jack Sullivan. The kids were reported missing by their stepdad and mother on the morning of May 2nd. RCMP in Nova Scotia immediately launched a missing persons investigation, and in the days that followed, numerous searches of the area were carried out, but the children still haven't been found. The case is being watched by people across the country as there are more questions than answers. Where are the Sullivan kids? Oh, this is actually an audio. Interesting. Host Dan Alstrand speaks with citynews.ca writer Natasha O'Neill, who has been following the case. Well, let's just click play and see what it says. I didn't realize.
Hey, it's Maria Papadakis from The Roz and Mocha Show. Here's a great game you can play the next time you are people watching. Let's call it, Is It From Winners? Maybe you can play right now. Stop wondering. Start winning. Visit your nearest winners and find fabulous...
Why just bank when you can bank with this past weekend? There's still no sign of the missing children. RCMP haven't ruled out foul play, and the decision to not issue an Amber Alert has sparked province-wide debate.
There you go.
It's a case that has captivated Canadians from coast to coast. Today, we speak with a reporter who's been on the story from day one. What really happened in Pictou County, and where do things go from here? I'm Dan Alstrand, and today on The Big Story, we're speaking with citynews.ca digital editor Natasha O'Neill about the missing Sullivan children. Hello, Natasha. Thanks for taking time to join us today.
Dan, it's so nice to be here.
I guess to set the groundwork here, for those that are just hearing about this for the first time, who are the Sullivan children? What do we know about the day that they were reported missing from their homestead in Lansdowne Station?
Yeah, so from day one, we've been on the case. And I remember that press release coming in. And it happened just about 11 a.m. local time. And press in the press release, RCMP said that at 10 a.m. they were called to a home on Gerlach Road in rural Pictou County in Lansdowne Station. And they said that two missing children had wandered away from their home. And these two children are 6 and 4. Lily's 6 and Jack is 4. And right from the get-go, they said, we just believe they kind of wandered into the forest, maybe down the road somewhere. And it was a full grid search, looking throughout the rocks and the ditches and down the road and everything like that. Right away, it seems like the whole RCMP and the Nova Scotia Guard were called in, the drones and the dogs and the helicopters right from the get-go. It was really a whole all hands on deck approach right from the start.
Now, you've been covering this story since day one. What can you tell me about the search as it unfolded in those critical 48 hours, what officials say is so critical in cases like this?
Yeah, so right from the start, there was like a press release from police a few hours later, an update saying we still haven't found them. And usually in missing people cases, especially here how we've been covering them, people are found quite quickly, maybe a day or two or whatever. But even the next day, police said, we still haven't found these two really, really young kids. And what ended up happening is right from the beginning, RCMP said it is not an abduction because, you think kids wandered away from their home, or the worst case scenario, an abduction. But right from the very beginning, RCMP have been super adamant that it has not been an abduction. So they were not looking at that. There was no evidence to suggest that. So they really were just combing the forest as quickly as they could, as thoroughly as they could.
But here's the thing. The parents were saying that they felt it could be an abduction and asking for an Amber Alert. And I mean, we don't know. We don't know. So I don't want to listen to this whole thing. It's almost a half hour long, and I'm not sure that I'm allowed to. YouTube might ding me, but just that in itself is interesting right there, just to hear that. Let's just listen to a smidgy bit more, and then we'll come out of here.
Right from the start.
Now, I've spent some time up in that part of Nova Scotia, in and around Pictou County, and my opinion of it is it's very rural, very dense forests. There's not a lot of roads. It's must be very difficult to try and put together a search effort in terrain like that.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's something that
Yeah, so that stuff we already know, but that first part was kind of interesting to hear because she's on the end of it as the reporter, journalists receiving those calls in and that information and being told that it's not an abduction. So interesting. And there they are. Lily and Jack, as cute as ever. All right, so let's go to the other one. If anybody wants to listen to the rest of that, just go back and look at what the article, because I would have said it there and showed it, the article and the name of it there, and listen to the whole thing, because I think I will later. I didn't realize that it was a podcast. Big on. Okay, this is the one I want. And there they are again. My God, they're cute kids. They're all cute, and those 3 little girls are cute. So, stepfather of missing Nova Scotia. See if you guys can see that. Oh, yeah, you can see it pretty good. Sometimes the article comes up so small. I try to make it bigger so that you guys can see it. Stepfather of missing Nova Scotia kids reportedly says mother's grief worsening due to online speculation. Well, is it more so due to the things that were said by him and his cousin that were put out on online? Because after that was when she started receiving threats, and if you guys are not familiar with what I'm talking about, as I said, go to It's a Criming Shame, and you can see the text messages and stuff there. I'm gonna quote a few things today. I'm not going through all those messages. To me, a good percentage of it is just completely irrelevant, but I pulled some things out that, when taking a look at Daniel, that to me were relevant, because when this first started, I already took a good look at Malaya's interview over and over and over. And in my opinion, I came to the conclusion that most of what was going on in that interview was based on her guilt of what took place that morning, in the sense of not getting up, and a mom's guilt for some bad parenting, really. And that certainly can't be denied. I would feel the same way if that happened to me in that situation, and I'd probably might come off like that as well. But I certainly didn't feel it was guilt due to her doing anything nefarious to her children. And she only did the one interview. Now with Daniel, I kind of waited for a bit and then went back, like I said, and took a good look at everything. But, I mean, well, I guess when we get further down, we'll see what he's saying. But if you go to It's a Criming Shame, and you get updated, if you want to get into those text messages, like I said, a lot of it to me is just stuff that doesn't even need to be said or shown. But there are certain things, because as I said in the beginning, Daniel loves to talk. He spills all the tea and the beans and the milk and everything, the whole kitchen sink. He's spilling it all. So, you take all of that, which I'm sure the police are definitely doing, and look at it all and see where it takes your thoughts. Anyways. So, yeah, so her grief is worsening due to online speculation. Well, like I said, I think it's probably more about the stuff that the man of her current child that she still has and his family are saying. Daniel Martell, the stepfather of missing Nova Scotia children, 4-year-old Jack and 6-year-old Lily Sullivan, says their mother's grief is worsening due to online speculation about the case, according to CTV News. Well, he's the one that is online speculating. So if you go listen to that information, you will hear him. He's the one speculating and saying, things about her mother. And anyways, you'll have to listen to it to understand. I'm not going to get into all that, but because it's just stuff he's saying. And as the old saying goes, if you don't have anything nice to say, don't say anything at all. You don't have to lie. you're saying that you don't, that, you know, he claims that he never tells a lie. Okay, well, that's fine. But you also don't talk trash about the mother of your child. You just don't do that. Unless there's really bad trash going on, which the stuff that he's saying is not anything that has to be said. But despite a methodical search over the last weekend, searchers haven't uncovered anything of significance to the investigation. Corporal Gilliam Tremblay told National Post on Thursday. I don't know what this video is, but doesn't have anything to do with this. Any future searches will be determined based on the course of the investigation. RCMP officers from various teams are fully engaged in finding out what happened to Lily and Jack, and we're using all tools and resources to determine the circumstances of their disappearance, he said. The children, Daniel Martell, the stepfather of Lily and Jack Sullivan, speaks to reporters on Wednesday, May 7th. Oh, yeah, okay. The children were reported missing more than 1 month ago from their rural home in Pictou County, where they lived with Martell, their mother Malaya Brooks Murray, and the couple's baby Meadow. Even with ongoing searches and following up on 355 tips as of late May, authorities still have not found any concrete leads. The lack of evidence has led many people on social media to come up with the conspiracy theories about how the children disappeared, which the stepfather says is making the situation worse. But none of this was said until he and his cousin corresponded with people online and said the things that they said. Outside of that, I don't think, and why would anybody care what anybody else is saying? You shouldn't even be paying attention to any of that, which, you know, I question. But now, if you knew the father of your child who you just had a relationship with and his family, well, we're doing that. Well, yeah, that would certainly be upsetting for sure. It doesn't get any easier. 1 month has passed, Martell told CTV News. Don't attack Malaya because her mental health is going to be reflected on our daughter. But you're the one who attacked her, you and your cousin. I don't know of anybody else that, like, who is there people online attacking her? Because apparently this took place after him and his cousin were saying the things they said, which they shouldn't be saying, and we'll get into that. Yeah. Martell, who attended a vigil for the children held on June 2nd, said Brooks Murray's grief was overwhelming and was made worse by speculation. The vigil was held in Stellarton. Not that I believe what she's saying. I wholeheartedly believe it. Because as him and his cousin were doing what they were doing, I was thinking, oh my God, that poor girl. Like, my God, like, just shut your mouths. Like, my goodness. It's bad enough that this poor woman has lost her 2 children, but now you two are going to get involved with online stuff and start basically trashing this poor girl. Like, just stop. Martell, who attended a vigil for the children, said Brooks Murray's grief was overwhelming and was made worse by speculation. The vigil was held in Stellarton, a town in Pictou County, A video of the solemn event posted on Facebook showed Martell lighting 2 paper lanterns and letting them float off into the sky. But do you get the feeling that Daniel kind of creates a situation, and then when it causes someone harm, then he reflects that onto somebody else or something else instead of taking the accountability for what he did? Like, I'm kind of getting that feeling. If you know what I'm trying to say. Candlelit vigil for Lilly&Jack Sullivan, posted by Kimberly Brown on Monday, June 2nd, 2025. Let truth be revealed, let justice prevail, and let every child be returned safely to the earth and never stop loving them, said Brenda McPhee, who helped organize the vigil. Meanwhile, volunteer organization Halifax Search and Rescue said that scammers may be impersonating the group on fundraising site. Oh, nice. Real nice. GoFundMe. The fake campaign said it has a goal of reaching $100,000 to buy a drone to help with the search for the Sullivan siblings. Are you kidding me? Oh my God. However, Halifax Search and Rescue Director Paul Service said his group doesn't normally request donations through GoFundMe and doesn't base its campaign on particular searches. Exactly. Service says a representative from GoFundMe contacted him to say it was taking down the site and investigating after the campaign was reported on CBC. He says that it is disheartening for his group to have cope. He says that it is disheartening for his group to have to cope with scams, as it may discourage the public from donating to his group's legitimate fundraising efforts. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, well, like I said, I always go to the fishing derby, and I know who it is, and it's the same search and rescue every year that does it. My husband and I donate there, so we always know it's the real deal. But of course, there's always the sicko out there that's gonna do that. Anyways, I don't know. I find this a bit. I mean, there have been certain ones out there really being horrible with the things that they're saying, but they're morons. And I mean, I would hope that a parent whose child's missing, they would be focused on that and not really paying attention to what a moron is doing. And if you go to It's a Criming Shame, and you will understand how that all played out, and you will be able to hear them, and they're showing Daniel's text to them saying, take down the video with them reading his text because Malaya's getting death threats and people are writing her nasty messages all over the world. But it was him who was saying what he said, and allowed them to put that on there. Well, don't do that. Don't say those things. Keep your cousin off of TikTok. Stop saying the things that you're saying. And then when you do cause a situation because of it, don't turn around and try to play it off as, idiots that are on YouTube saying garbage, because no, it wasn't because of that. It was because of the you and your cousin trashing her. All right, so we're done with that one. Now, what other ones do I have here that I want to... I don't know if I want to pull that one up yet. I just want to show you a couple of pictures and then we'll move on. So we'll just take a little break from before I get into the Daniel stuff. Show you a couple of pictures here. This is, now for any of you that did listen to the text messages and you heard Daniel state about him, about Big Island Beach, and that in those text messages, it's he, and a quote, stated, you know, that he would like to go back to when they went to Big Island Beach and become the Daniel that Malaya first met. Well, this is Big Island Beach here. And this is where my husband proposed to me, coincidentally. And my parents actually have a cottage down there, and we're down there every summer. But Daniel talks about water a lot. And so he brought up water again. And then he had stated that, you know, after he had made that comment, and she'll know what that means. And I thought, geez, if the police suspect him of anything, I sure to God hope that they're down Big Island Beach, looking down there, because he mentioned that. I don't know if it had any kind of reference to anything, but you know, I know that law enforcement is usually listening and looking for things like that that's being said. And so, having said that, we will go to this next. And it's beautiful there, by the way. You can see the beach on both sides of this causeway. And that causeway has been flooded in so many times and rebuilt so many times you wouldn't believe it. So I don't know if any of you watch the behavior panel. So these are the guys I listen to, and never in my wildest dreams did I think that, well, this is Greg Hartley. This is one of them. There's actually 4 of them, and they have a YouTube channel, the behavior panel, and they're excellent. These are the guys you want to listen to. So there's Scott Rouse, Mark Bowden, Chase Hughes, and Greg Hartley. And as I said, this is Greg Hartley, the behavior panel. And Sarah on the right here, her channel is the Prime Minister of Behavior. And sorry, Sadie, not Sarah, Sadie, the Prime Minister of Behavior. And she had him on her show because she is one of their researchers, and she is from Nova Scotia, from, I believe, Halifax. So that was surprising to me. And so I, of course, joined her channel or subscribed. And I encourage everybody to watch this. And if you haven't already, and there's a lot of views on this. And now she's up. When I watched this, she had 2,000, I think it was 2.7. Now she's got 4.55. So this video certainly did her well. And yeah, so she actually works for these folks, the behavior panel. And so never did I think that they would touch on this case. It's just Greg, but just to have one of them. Wow. But I thought, oh my God, I would love their input, what do they think? And I thought, we'll never know, because these are the guys I pay attention to, not Deception Detective or any small-time cheesy stuff like that. These are the guys that you pay attention to. And so I'm not going to hit on too many points on this. There's just one area I want to show, and then you guys go watch this video, okay, on the Prime Minister of Behavior, Sadie. So I just have to find the part I want to get to here.
So why use Grammarly over ChatGPT? Well, Grammarly offers expert writing suggestions versus something generic that everyone gets wild.
You guys don't want to listen to that, do you?
That's criminal that, they did something. By the way, there's a brand new search going on right now. Let's remember we talked about D and read. The most important thing is the D. Because some people use dive all the time.
Okay. I just want you to hear this part. There's so much more I could play in this, but I'm not going to, because she deserves the views. But I just want to play this part. Not Malaya. We want to get into Daniel.
The other guy, though, that dive thing is just in a while. Then watch all those pieces and tell me what you see, or what do you see, Sadie? Because this is out of his base and a weird choice of words. If I were talking to law enforcement, talking about where they have searched, he's got a pretty good little clip going there.
Families still go out sometimes and search, but
I didn't think they touched on him that long, but I guess they did.
That started on this conversation. And you said, well, you wait till you see the mother. So I'd seen the father.
Yeah.
Realize I have not seen anything of the mother. Sadie's pulled some clips, and we're going to talk about those. I'm not going to preach. We're going to talk. How's that?
Perfect.
me and my family still go out sometimes and search, but everything's been searched that we can really dive into at this time. They have over 12,000 man hours searched in the woods, and they're planning on doing more, which I'm really grateful for.
First off, what was your immediate response when you saw that 10 seconds, 20 seconds, whatever it was?
So I noticed before in another video that he did, he talks very, he speaks in finality. He doesn't say, oh, it's ongoing, you know. He talks as if the search is already done, you know, like it's like, oh yeah, we did that. We searched everything. It's, you know, it's done.
Yeah, and some people do that.
Right.
You know, usually you don't think they'll do that when there's hope for their child. Some people
Right.
talk about everything in past tense. You know, one of the things I always push back on statement analysis about is some people just are educated differently. I'm not
That's
sure
true.
he's the smartest guy in the world. So just, I can't tell by this video, but I did see a couple of things. But yeah, it seems pretty closed-ended. Not, hey, can you help us?
Right.
Not, hey. I mean, for me, if my kid was missing, I'd be like, hey guys, we've done everything we know how. How about you help us? Write in, send ideas, do anything. Look, you got a cell phone, take pictures of any little kid footprints you got.
Yeah.
None of that's there. Nothing. It just feels like, well, they've been gone a few days. All right, maybe we just throw in the towel now.
Yeah.
It just feels awkward. Yeah, that part feels awkward. I agree with you.
It really feels like I mean, at the same time, it also has been over a month now at this point. I guess the interview was a few days ago that this happened.
Okay.
So it's been almost a month at this point. So I feel like at that point you would likely be.
Yeah, you'd feel pretty destitute. And I say this all the time. Usually you're lost everything. I mean,
Right.
I don't share this all the time, but we lost our son.
Mm-hmm.
And in 3 weeks, I had and God, I can't know how Dina even got through it, but in 3 weeks, your personality is gone. You're so emotionally wrung out. You just can't, I mean, it's unimaginable. And a lost child is probably as bad or worse.
Mm-hmm.
There's the lost child, at least there's still that glimmer of hope at the end.
Right.
But I don't know. The thing for me that made the reason I called you, the reason I texted this though, is we want you to go back and watch as we talk about this. And Sadie's going to figure out how to make that really pretty because she does that for us all the time. But this guy, his speech patterns change as he's talking about where they have searched. He's got a pretty good little clip going there.
Families still go out sometimes and search, but everything's been searched.
And then he goes to
everything's been searched.
And I always say what's going on is the monkey brain is taking over. That cat brain, this is when the guys always joke around when I said I'm bringing a monkey to the dance. I work really hard to get people to this position where they can't think.
Right.
And he is trying to figure the right words. And he says, dive in.
Dive into at this time.
Not only does he say that, his shoulders come up and he bounces a little bit when he says it. And it's out of place. Everything, go back and watch cadence, watch pronunciation, watch volume about dive. Watch all those pieces and tell me what you see, or what do you see, Sadie? Because this is out of his base and a weird choice of words. If I were talking to law enforcement, I would start searching the water around this place. Mm. That's a weird choice of words. Maybe he says it all the time.
Everything's been searched that we can really dive into at this time.
My little suspicious brain is going, something's up here.
Big on
Embedded
beach.
confessions look just like that.
Wow. When you sent me that message and you gave me that timestamp, I went right to it and I saw that and I hadn't even put that together before you had said that. And it was so shocking to see that.
Yeah, it's just such a weird word pattern change. And look, when we talk about body language.
And when I heard him say that, it struck me too. I was like, why is he saying diving?
What we're really talking about is change, because all of us communicate. And, I always say this, 3 pieces, 2 pieces. The 3 pieces you communicate with are gestures, illustrators, and regulators. And the 2 pieces that protect you are adapters and barriers. We expect a person to be fluid and speak and move their hands. He's not doing that we can see. His shoulders go up when he says dive is the only time we see any real movement. He's communicating something, whether it's intentional or not is another question. Is he communicating we don't know where else to look? We're hopeless. But dive is a weird choice.
Exactly. And it might not mean anything. And like he always says, they all say, which is one of the things I like about their program, is that it's hard to tell when they don't have a complete baseline of the person. Now Daniel's done enough interviews and said enough that they probably could go through everything he's done and get, a better baseline with him than they have had with other people they watch on videos.
Of places there. So I think I'd dig in a little bit if I were the police.
Wow.
Oh, I just want to go back.
Yeah, that's great.
What did he say?
Go up when he says dive is the only time we see any real movement. He's communicating something, whether it's intentional or not is another question. Is he communicating we don't know where else to look? We're hopeless. But dive is a weird choice of places there. So I think I'd dig in a little bit if I were the police.
Wow. Yeah, that's great.
Weird.
Wow. So now we can watch
the mom.
Yeah, let's watch.
I haven't seen her yet at all. So
we're not going to watch that part. He pretty much just says the same thing that I had already picked up on and stated that he's not really overly concerned about her statement interview, and that it seems more of a guilt thing. That if he was a police officer, he'd be digging more into he sees more concerns with Daniel. So anyways, that just kind of struck me. And then the comment he made about the Big Island beach there. Okay, so moving on. I want to talk a little bit about the text messages. And again, that is the Prime Minister of Behavior, Sadie, and behavior expert Greg Hartley reacts to Jack and Lily's mom and stepdad. And he's from the behavior panel. Both very good channels. So, text messages. And one thing in the article I was just reading there prior to watching this, where it had stated that, you know, that RCMP state there's no evidence of anything. You know, and it seems to me that they're attempting to recover Lily and Jack, not only to bring them home. And when I say bring them home, I don't, you know, I mean, it'd be nice if it'd be in the sense that they're alive and they come home well and safe. But, you know, to bring them home to rest as well. Not only are they attempting to do that, but they're also attempting to rule out foul play, which is why, you know, in my opinion, they're so desperately going back and searching that area and searching. Because the only way to rule anything out is to have Lily and Jack, because that's possibly all they have at this point. So, you know, I keep that in mind. And you know, if they were abducted, you know, they're probably not going to recover them, not in the woods, you know. Anyway, so text messages. So again, if you go to It's a Criming Shame, you will actually see these text messages, and you will, you know, hear them read them out verbatim. I'm quoting. So Charmaine, who is one of the ladies on that channel, she states to Daniel, it's weird for kids to venture out on their own. I don't know if she said when they usually don't do it. But it sounded like she said they don't usually do it, but he had said that they don't. And his response to that is, and they left their boots and all clothing on. And I had to rewind it a couple of times and reread it. And I had actually taken shots of it on my phone so I could, you know, make it bigger and read it. And they when they had first put that up, they had to delete it because he had told them that Malaya was getting threats and she was very upset and it wasn't good for her mental health, and to take it off there. And so they did, but it's back on there again. But And I was like, well, what? Like, what? That doesn't make sense. And they left their boots and all clothing on. And it's just a strange statement. It doesn't make sense. You know, I don't know what it means. I'm certainly not an analyst. But he then also drops the conversation after that. Because she had then asked, did they have their jackets on? And then he, like, after he had made that statement, and he didn't respond back. That was it for the day. So I thought, well, did he make a boo-boo there and then realize it? So it's weird for the kids to venture out on their own. They don't usually do that. And that's Charmaine saying that, because he had stated they don't usually do that. And then Daniel states, and they left their boots and all clothing on. And I was like, that doesn't make sense. Like, is he picturing something that was done and they had their clothing and their boots on and he made a slip there? Like, it just was bizarre to me. And then to drop the conversation after that, because she had stated, well, did they have their jackets on? And then he just dropped off the conversation. And these are just things like I've stated, I don't ever want to accuse somebody of doing something so horrible. And, you know, it just not be so. It's not right to do that. That's law enforcement's job. But when somebody's talking so much and so often, and you're listening to it all because he's putting it out there, you can't help but start putting stuff together and going, like, something's not right here. Something is very off. And then the Big Island Beach, that I had just showed you there. I was, my husband proposed to me there. You know, that stuck out to me, and this was stated in the text messages. And, you know, and he states about, he wants Malay to know that, you know, he wishes he could take her to the Big Island Beach again and be the old Daniel that he used to be. Well, what's that even mean? But the whole thing is just weird. It's strange to say. And then states, and she'll know what that means. And I was like, okay, that's strange. It's just strange to say. And again, it's the water thing. And, you know, and then my legs kind of perked up when he had said the word dive. I was like, dive? Why are you saying dive? It's just those little things that makes your brain go, huh? What, like, what? Or is that just how he talks? Is that just, you know? And then, like I said, if law enforcement does suspect him of doing anything with these children, I certainly hope they heard that and they're picking up on this, the use of that word and the mentioning of Big Island Beach. Yeah. And so then his cousin, And not to mention, throughout this whole thing, now you go listen to it yourself. The things that he's saying towards Malaya just should not be said to the mother of your child, about the mother of your child. You know she's going to find out about it. And she's just lost her 2 children. Like, seriously. There's something not right there. Now, if you all remember, when Daniel had stated in an interview that actually, let's come back to that. I'll come back to that. So then after this, after these text messages come out and he gets upset and tells them to remove that video with this information in it because Malaya's now receiving threats and people are saying horrible things about her and the internet's just gone crazy. And to remove it. And that's why I'm saying, like, it's him that said those things. That's why she would be upset. You know, yes, there's a channel that put that information out there, but it's him who's saying it. That's what would be upsetting to her, I'm sure. It would certainly upset me. Yeah, so on top of that, you know, he's just not talking very nicely about her. And as I said, you know, those old sayings ring true. To me, that's my Bible, those old sayings. Because if you have nothing nice to say, say nothing at all. You don't have to lie if you're not a liar. But you certainly don't have to say those things at a mother's at this woman's possible worst ever in her life. Obviously, she's at the worst point in her whole life ever, and you're going to, at this point, speak in that way about her. That's wrong. There's something wrong there, you know. So how are you speaking to her on any other day? It's just bizarre. So then the cousin comes out, Daniel's cousin, Logan, on TikTok. And again, same thing as the text messages. Most of what she's saying, I could give 2 craps about. A lot of it is just, you know, not talking nicely of Malaya. It's kind of disgusting. Again, this is a woman who has lost her 2 children. Her 2 children are gone. And if they're never to be found and there's no conclusion to this for the rest of her life, she will always wonder what happened. She has, you know, it's just awful. And this is how this family speaks of her. And it's just bizarre. So she comes out and yes. So remember when Daniel stated, and if you don't, I'm going to say it right now, he stated that CPS would not allow him to see the baby Meadow, the child that him and Malaya have together. And so he confirmed that himself. He himself said that. He specifically went to, and I know it's not called CPS here, but I'm just going to call it CPS because that's pretty much everyone calls it Child Protective Services. But he went right to the building himself and asked if he could see his child, and they told him no. He asked why, and he stated from his mouth that while this is all going on with the kids missing, they have to wait until it's all figured, it's figured out before they're comfortable with him seeing the baby. And then I'm wondering, well, okay, well, you and Malaya were both there when well, they are babies. The other two children went missing. When Lily and Jack went missing, you were both there. So this doesn't make sense. You can't see the child. You can't be around the child with supervised visits even, but Malaya can. So his cousin, while talking with TikTok, backs this up and says the same thing, that Daniel was told by CPS he is not allowed to see Meadow. And this just doesn't make sense. What's different? What is different there? They were both there together when the children went missing. But yet Daniel is not allowed to see the youngest child, Meadow, but the mother is. Why? There's something not right there. Like, these are just all the things that, I said I wouldn't come to any thoughts until I have certain things that to me I see as truth, and this is all truth. It's coming from his mouth. It's coming from cousin's mouth. It's coming from I'm listening to an expert that knows what he's talking about there with the body language. So to me, this is all evidence-based, truth-based. And so going back through all this and now having all this and being able to form some thoughts of what looks bizarre here, this looks bizarre. This is coming off as very bizarre. So, okay, so let's move on. It means something. It means something. I mean, that's just not, I mean, why wouldn't they have taken the child? Why would the child not be allowed to see both of them, not just one? It doesn't make sense. Okay. And if it had anything to do with the property, the condition of the property, again, wouldn't he be allowed to have supervised visits off the property somewhere else? There's something else going on. Okay. Now, the other thing she stated was about the phones. And she said, the question was asked, does Malaya and Daniel have their own phones, their own cell phones? And she quickly answered, yes, they do. They're an open couple. And I was like, okay, well, that's an open couple. Well, that to some people means something completely different, but I'm pretty sure what she meant was they're okay with each other using each other's phones. And I'm like, okay, well, yeah. Like, I don't care if my husband needs to use my phone and vice versa. If I had to use his phone, I just had to let my husband use my phone because his phone wasn't working and he needed to be able to get in contact with his work, and his phone wouldn't charge. But anyways, yeah, no big deal. I'm not hiding anything on there. I don't care. Here's my code to get into it, and if I'm ever hospitalized, here's my code. You know how to get into my phone to pay the bills that I pay in my bank account, which has happened because I have many trips to the hospital. But, just thinking of stuff like that. Yeah, it's no big deal. I'm not hiding anything. So if he has to get into my phone, yeah, he's capable. But he doesn't have control of my phone. And it just made me wonder, like, is it the use of somebody's phone, especially when you both have your own phone? Really, you have your own phone. Why would you need the other person's phone? There'd be no reason for someone to have to control somebody else's phone. So it just, again, it was just one of those things that made me think, like, is there some kind of control issue going on here with the whole phone thing? And then to say, oh, sorry, yeah. And then Daniel had made the statement, and I believe it was the cousin that said this in her TikTok video as well. I can't remember if it was in the TikTok video or if it was in the phone messages, but he had stated, every time Malaya gets ahead, her mom pulls her back. And I thought, well, gets ahead in what way? Because she was with her mother, like, prior to being with Daniel. And I know, apparently her and her mom don't get along that great, if that's true. But if I guess I'm wondering, what is getting ahead mean to Daniel? Because being tied down with a baby, his baby, being cut off from everyone else, having no phone access, which is difficult where they live, and being so rural that it's hard to get into other places at times. The winters would be horrific. Like, what is her mother pulling her back from? How is she moving ahead? When she was living with her mother before, is my understanding. How did she go ahead? And I mean, you guys seen the property, and I don't have anything against how anyone lives. I honestly don't. But when you're living in that way, you have 2 little children. Now you're even more tied down with a baby. You've lost a lot of the use of your phone due to where you're living, the ability to get to and from easily, to take your kids out for a walk to the park, or, to the library, to wherever. All those things are gone. You're cut off from your pretty much everybody now. The grandmother of Lily and Jack, both grandmothers, the husband, the father of the 2 children. Like, where is she moving ahead? So I just thought, that doesn't make sense. Like, where are you thinking that she moved ahead? She didn't go off to university and she's working on a degree to become a doctor. Like, what is he talking about? Ahead where? she didn't open a new business, and her business is doing well, and she's, it's a new craft store, and she's just doing wonderful, and or a new restaurant, and everybody loves her fish and chips in town, and she's just raking in the dough, and not that money has everything to do with everything, but you know what I'm saying? What is he talking about? um yeah. So and then I started thinking about, what did Malaya hear? Well, I've always wondered this, actually. And like I said, it all just kind of starts to come together as you're having this thought about this, and then you hear this, and then you hear that. And he's putting it all out there. He's the one putting this all out there. Um and then it brought me back to my thoughts, wondering, like, him saying that Malaya went to the back of the ambulance, and she was, so, she was having a panic attack, and she couldn't look at him, and she didn't want anything to do with him, and she left with her mother. And then I think he, in the text messages, um on It's a Crime and Shame, he goes into further detail. I'm pretty sure it's in the text messages, and states that she was looking at him with disgust, and then she left. Like, she hightailed it out of there. Like, she left dust. The cousin in her TikTok interview states that she left her car there. She didn't take her car with her. All the baby stuff had to be taken out of the cousin's car and put into the mother's car, because now she was going with her mother. She wasn't staying there and going to stay with the cousin anymore. And she hightailed it out of there. And this was the day after her children went missing. And uh and then that's it. She hasn't spoken to Daniel since. So what happened? Something happened. Something happened. And again, Daniel saying, the mother, well, everything was fine, and then she got with her mother, and then 5 minutes after that, well, she was sitting in an ambulance, and then she just took off with her mother. And again, I'm thinking, it's like projecting, it's like pushing blame onto somebody else. It's the same as this internet thing. Well, no, you're trying to make that look like it's the idiots that have been out there since a month ago saying the ridiculous stuff they've been saying all along. This started when you and your cousin come out and started saying not so nice things surrounding Malaya. So don't, like, trying to take one situation and turning it, using something else to your advantage to make it look like it's that. No, she obviously would be very upset that you're saying the things you're saying, Daniel, and that you, Logan, are saying the things you're saying. It's despicable. And to not take accountability and just push that off to make it look like something else, that it's this, it's the mother, it's those idiots, that are putting that garbage out there, and uh you know uh no, there's something very wrong going on here, very wrong. And now, so she left that debrief, and in a panic attack, had to go sit in the back of an ambulance, and took off out of there with her mother. And he's not allowed to see the baby. Now, I don't know about his other 2 children he has with his first wife. But yeah, there's something wrong. And then putting the way he's speaking about her. Yeah. And her mother is, every time she gets ahead, she's pulling her back. Well, where's she getting ahead to? A trailer out in Lansdowne with no cell phone service, stuck out there with 3 kids. Anyways, I think you get my point. I think we're starting to get a better picture of why Malaya left. I certainly am. It sounds like this family is a bit delusional on how things should be, and that there's some strong dominating personalities in this family. Yeah. There is something's not right. For sure. Anyways, again, I am not saying that anybody's guilty of anything. I have no idea. That's for the police to figure out. Hopefully they will. I just know what I'm picking up on, and it's because of what's coming out of his own mouth, out of Daniel's mouth, and out of his cousin's mouth. Again, just I don't know. Yeah. So guys, that is it for today. Another thing I just wanted to quickly mention, just to clear this up for people, is the pipeline. The pipeline, because I hear people on other channels saying, well, is the pipeline above ground or is it below ground? Like, what is this pipeline? It's not actually it's a trail. It's called the Pipeline Trail. And it is a trail where there has been pipelines put there underground, or here it's a pipeline. Now, in other provinces, it could be underground electrical or wires, old train tracks that they've turned into a trail. So Canada has the world's largest trail. And what they did was they took all these trails and they connected them. So, yeah, and it goes right across Canada, and people will four-wheel. Like my husband's gone on them, and he's four-wheeled from here to, wherever, with a group of people, and, to another part of Nova Scotia. And you just go along these trails, and cuts down on a lot of travel time. And yeah, they're pretty cool. Anyway, so yeah, so and those trails, one trail meets the next trail. That's why it's called the largest trail, because they finally finished the project, I think maybe a few years ago or a couple of years ago, where they finally finished it, and all those trails now meet. So each place that had these trails, if there was like a section that didn't have a trail, then they would go in and actually turn that into a trail to meet the other trails on either side of it, and it goes right along across Canada. So yeah, you can get on those trails and you can go anywhere. you can end up anywhere. Anyways, just to clarify that, because a lot of people don't understand what the trails are all about. Anyways, guys, I will see you guys again. Oh, and there's a picture of the trail too. I'll just show you a little picture. You can go online and find these. There. That one looks kind of sandy. Or maybe it does look sandy. But maybe it's muddy and it's packed down. Somebody took a bike through it or something. But yeah, that is the Pipeline Trail. So I will see you again, guys. This is a long one. I actually paused twice. I paused twice, and I was talking to my husband on the phone. I get up and I was walking around. And I paused another time, and I went downstairs and got something to eat and come back up. I have to. I can't sit there for that long. I have to stretch and get up and walk around. Well, guys, lots of love, lots of positive vibes. Everyone, be safe, and we'll see you on the next one. And here comes the little cutie pie, my grandson, on the exit.